All right. So Ferrari built an electric car, a $640,000 electric car. And I need you to just sit with that number for a second before we go any further. $640,000 for an electric Ferrari with 4 doors and 5 seats and a trunk big enough to hold a stroller. I want to be clear. I am not making any of that up. That is the actual car. They named it the Luce, which means light in Italian, and the only thing light about it is what's left of my faith in the universe. So today we're going to answer one simple question. Why does this thing exist? Why did the company that built its entire soul on screaming 12-cylinder engines wake up one morning and decide what the world really needed was a silent 4-door family hauler with a price tag the size of a mortgage on a small island? Buckle up, this one's going to hurt. Let's start with what Ferrari actually is, or at least what it used to be. For decades, the entire point of a Ferrari was the noise. You didn't buy a Ferrari to get somewhere. You bought a Ferrari so that everyone within a half-mile radius knew you had arrived, were currently arriving, and would be talking about arriving for the next several minutes. The sound of a Ferrari Pime 12 at full song is one of the great mechanical achievements of human civilization. It's the kind of noise that makes grown men forget their own names. It is loud, it is dramatic, it is gloriously, beautifully unnecessary. That was the product. The car was almost a delivery mechanism for the engine. You were paying for theater. You were paying for the goosebumps. And now, Ferrari has looked at all of that history, all of that emotion, all of that screaming red-blooded drama and said, you know what? Let's make it whisper quiet and add a back seat. Brilliant. Truly inspired. Somewhere an accountant got a bonus. Now here's where it gets good. And by good, I mean genuinely upsetting. Because Ferrari knew that taking away the engine sound was a problem. They're not stupid. They understood that a silent Ferrari is just an expensive golf cart with attitude. So they came up with a solution, and this is real. This is a thing that actually happens in this car. They put accelerometers on the powertrain to pick up the vibrations the electric motors make, and then they amplify those vibrations through the car to create a sound. Let me translate that out of corporate Italian for you. They built a fake engine noise generator. They are piping a synthesized hum into the cabin to make you feel something. So now you're paying $640,000 for a Ferrari, and the iconic, world-famous, spine-tingling Ferrari soundtrack is, essentially, a very expensive ringtone, the most emotional sound in motoring history, now brought to you by the same basic technology as a meditation app. Inhale, exhale, pretend you're at Monza. They'll tell you it's authentic, that it's derived from the real motor, that it's not fake. My brother, if you have to put accelerometers on something to find a sound and then turn the volume up so a human can hear it, that's not a soundtrack. That's life support. But wait, it gets better. Because we haven't even talked about the design yet. To create this thing, Ferrari brought in help from the guy who used to design iPhones at Apple and his design studio. Let me say that again so it really lands. The people who made your phone helped make your Ferrari. And it shows. The car is big, it's smooth, it's glassy. It looks less like a Predator and more like a very confident airport lounge. It is the largest Ferrari ever made. The largest. A company famous for small, sharp, aggressive sports cars built its biggest vehicle ever and pointed it straight at minivans. It looks like it should come in a white box with a little apple on it, and a year from now they'll release a slightly faster version and call it the Luce Pro Max, and you'll feel bad about owning the old one. I'm genuinely waiting for the day a Ferrari owner has to pull over on the side of the road because his car needs a software update to keep driving. Have you tried turning your Ferrari off and on again, sir? Please don't touch anything. The dealership will push a patch overnight. So let's get into the part that really makes the car community lose its collective mind. 5 seats, 4 doors, a 600-liter trunk. Ferrari, with a straight face, said this car is for families. Families. The dream has officially changed. It used to be, one day, I'll work hard, I'll make it, and I'll buy a screaming two-seat Ferrari that's completely impractical and barely fits a gym bag, because that impracticality was the whole point. The uselessness was luxury. Now the pitch is, one day, I'll make it and I'll buy a four-door electric Ferrari so I can do the school run in silence and fit a Costco haul in the back. Congratulations, you've reached the top. Here's your prancing horse grocery getter. They took the most emotional, irrational, romantic car brand on the planet and gave it the personality of a responsible decision. It's the automotive equivalent of your wildest, craziest friend from college showing up to the reunion in cargo shorts talking about his 529 college savings plan. And now we arrive at the real question, the one this whole thing is built around. Why? Why would Ferrari, a company that prints money, a company whose customers will literally buy anything with that badge on it, a company that could keep making screaming gas-powered cars until the sun explodes, decide to do this? And the answer, the honest answer, is a mix of three very boring things: regulations, China, and fear. Governments around the world have been tightening the rules on emissions, and even a company that builds tiny numbers of cars eventually has to play the game or pay enormous penalties. Then there's the search for new buyers, especially younger, richer, more tech-obsessed customers in newer markets who grew up on screens and apps and might just think a silent rocket ship on wheels is the coolest thing ever. And finally, fear. The fear of being the last company standing in a dying technology. Ferrari looked into the future, got scared of missing the boat, and built a boat. A very expensive, very quiet boat. Here's the punchline, though. The funniest part of the whole story. While Ferrari was busy convincing itself that the future is electric, the rest of the industry started quietly backing away from that exact idea. Other luxury performance brands have been scaling back their electric plans, pumping the brakes, citing the fact that the rich people who buy these cars mostly do not actually want them to be electric. So Ferrari sprinted onto the dance floor right as everyone else started heading for the exits, and the market noticed. When this car and the plan around it got revealed, Ferrari stock had one of its worst days ever, dropping around 15%. 15%. Investors took one look at the electric future Ferrari was so proud of and collectively said, "Oh no!" That is the financial equivalent of unveiling your beautiful new baby and having the entire hospital quietly leave the room. Even Ferrari's own 5-year plan tells the story. By the end of the decade, they're only planning for about 20% of their lineup to be fully electric, with the rest split between hybrids and good old gasoline. Read that again. The company that just spent 5 years and a mountain of money building its electric flagship is privately betting that 80% of its cars will still have a regular engine. Even Ferrari doesn't fully believe in the thing Ferrari just built. That's not a strategy. That's a hostage situation with better lighting. And we haven't even talked about the part where you actually have to live with it, which is its own special comedy. Because here's a fun fact about electric cars that the glossy launch video conveniently skips over. You have to charge them. So picture this. You've just dropped the price of a beach house on the fastest, most exotic electric Ferrari ever made. You take it out for a proper drive, you push it hard the way it begs to be pushed, and then, somewhere around the good part, a little battery icon lights up and politely informs you that the most expensive toy you've ever owned would now like a 45-minute nap at a charging station next to a guy in a budget hatchback eating gas station. Nachos. Nothing says raw, untamed Italian passion like sitting in a parking lot watching a percentage slowly climb while your supercar sips electricity. The gas Ferrari guy pulls into a station, spends 3 minutes, and is gone in a cloud of noise and glory. The electric Ferrari guy is making small talk with a stranger about kilowatts. The romance writes itself, and then it dies of boredom. And then there's the weight, which is the dirty little secret of every electric performance car ever built. Batteries are heavy, brutally, stubbornly heavy. This thing tips the scales at well over 2 tons, which is roughly the weight of 2.5 classic Ferraris stacked on top of each other. The brand that built its entire legend on being light, nimble, and razor sharp, just released its heaviest car ever and is asking you to believe it's the purest expression of driving thrill. It's like a ballet dancer strapping on a refrigerator and insisting the performance is more graceful than ever. Sure, the motors can overpower the weight in a straight line, physics can be bullied with enough horsepower, but a Ferrari was never supposed to be about bullying physics. It was supposed to dance with it. So, who in their right mind actually buys this car? Let's decode them, because there are a few very specific types. First, you've got the tech money guy, the one who made an absurd fortune in software or crypto, who has never cared about engines, who genuinely cannot tell the difference between a V12 and a V8, and frankly finds the whole thing a little loud and barbaric. For him, this is perfect. It's quiet, it's fast, it has a screen, it connects to his phone, and the badge tells everyone he's rich without requiring him to learn anything about cars. He will love it. He will call it elevated. He will use the word ecosystem about a car. Then there's the collector. This guy already owns 9 Ferraris. He's not buying the electric one because he wants to drive it. He's buying it because it's the first one, and he collects firsts. And 20 years from now, he wants to be the guy who has it in a climate-controlled garage next to all the real ones. He will drive it 11 miles, then park it forever and treat it like a stock certificate with wheels. To him, this isn't a car, it's an asset class. And the fact that it's soulless is irrelevant because he was never going to feel anything in it anyway. Although here's the gamble he's quietly making, and it's a real one. Electric technology gets old fast. The screaming gas-powered classics only got more valuable as the years passed because they don't make them like that anymore and never will again. But an electric flagship? In 5 years, there'll be a newer one with double the range and a better screen, and today's groundbreaking miracle becomes tomorrow's outdated gadget with a famous badge. He's betting that being first matters more than being good. History says that's a coin flip at best. Next up, the eco-billionaire, the one who flies on a private jet to climate conferences and needed a car that lets him feel good about himself while still being obscenely expensive. The electric Ferrari is his dream come true. He gets to save the planet and spend 2/3 of $1 million at the same time. He will mention the range unprompted. He will talk about sustainability while standing next to a hand-built Italian supercar made of carbon fiber that took an unfathomable amount of energy to produce. The cognitive dissonance is frankly an art form. And of course, the influencer. The guy who doesn't even own it. He leased it or borrowed it for the weekend. And the entire purpose of the car is to be filmed. He'll do the slow walk around. He'll talk about how the future is here. He'll say the silence is actually peaceful, bro, like meditation. He will get 4 million views and 0 understanding. The car is a prop. The car was always going to be a prop for this guy. At least he's honest about it, in his own dishonest way. But the person I feel for, the person we should all pour one out for, is the purist, the old-school Ferrari guy. The man who has loved this brand since he was a kid, who has a poster of a classic Ferrari on his wall to this day, who saved for 30 years and finally bought his dream car and cried a little when he heard it start for the first time. That man is watching all of this happen in real time, in slow motion, like a car crash he can't look away from. To him, this isn't innovation. This is a betrayal. This is the brand he loves taking everything that made it special. The noise, the rawness, the beautiful impracticality, the danger, the romance, and replacing it with a heavy, quiet, sensible appliance that beeps when you reverse. He is in mourning. And honestly, he's not entirely wrong. Something is being lost here. You can dress it up in carbon fiber and call it progress. But the thing that made a Ferrari, that irrational, mechanical, screaming heartbeat, is getting quietly unplugged, and we're all supposed to clap. Now, in fairness, and I say this through gritted teeth, let me give you the other side, because a good argument deserves an enemy. There is a version of this where Ferrari is completely right, and the rest of us are the dinosaurs. Electric motors make instant, violent, ridiculous power. Over 1,000 horsepower, all of it available the second you touch the pedal, with zero waiting, zero lag, just a brutal, silent shove that pins your organs to your spine. There's an argument that this is actually the most extreme performance Ferrari has ever sold, that the silence makes it eerier and faster feeling, not less special. There's an argument that every single time the car world has screamed that the soul is dying, when they ditched manual gearboxes, when they added turbos, when they added hybrid systems, the cars somehow got faster and better anyway, and we all eventually shut up and adapted. Maybe in 10 years we'll look back and feel silly for grieving. Maybe the kids who grow up on this stuff will think a V12 sounds like a lawnmower. Maybe. But also, and I cannot stress this enough, it's a $640,000 electric four-door with a fake sound and a back seat. So let's not get carried away with the poetry. For that kind of money, you could buy an actual screaming used Ferrari, a normal house in most of the country, and still have enough left over to fill the garage with gas for the rest of your life. The math is not mathing. The romance is not romancing. And no amount of Italian marketing about transferring emotions into the electric era changes the fact that they removed the one emotion the car was actually famous for and replaced it with a polite hum and a charging schedule. So here's where I land, and you're going to tell me if I'm wrong, because I know you will. The electric Ferrari exists for the same reason most strange and expensive things exist. Not because anyone was desperately asking for it, but because a company got scared of the future, chased a market it doesn't fully understand, and built a monument to a decision it's only half sure about. It's an incredible piece of engineering wrapped around a fundamentally confused idea. It's the fastest, most powerful, most technologically advanced way Ferrari has ever found to make a car that almost no Ferrari fan was actually dreaming about. And maybe, just maybe, that's the whole problem. They built it because they could and because they felt they had to, but nobody at any point stopped to ask whether they should. Or, I'm a bitter old soul who's afraid of change, and in 20 years I'll be eating these exact words while my self-driving toaster takes me to the store. That's also entirely possible, probably even likely. But for today, right now, in this moment, I'm going to keep believing that a Ferrari is supposed to scream, not stream. So now I need to hear from you, because I already know this comment section is going to be a battlefield, and I'm here for it. Tell me honestly. Would you take a free electric Ferrari? No strings attached, knowing what you now know? Be honest, because half of you just said no out of principle and the other half are already mentally spending it. Is this still a real Ferrari to you, or did the prancing horse just trade its soul for a charging cable? Drop your verdict below. Tag the purest friend who's been yelling about this since the day it was announced. You know exactly who he is. He's probably already typing. And if you think I'm dead wrong, if you think this is the smartest move Ferrari has ever made, come tell me why, in detail, with feeling, because I want to read every word of it. Drive safe out there. And if your car still makes noise on its own, without a software update, hold on to it. You might be holding a piece of history,